What up, boy? So, I got a bit of a confession to make before we start this video. I kind of clickbaited you into watching this video today. But before you run away and leave me a hate comment and dislike the video and bugger off, hang around for a sec, because I feel as though what I'm about to share with you today might be a game changer for you. And to be honest with you, I didn't completely lie about what this video is going to be about, right? I know the video title says something along the lines of self-discipline is a lie. But the truth is that self-discipline is honestly one of the key aspects and one of the critical tools that if you use it, can be massive in achieving success. It's an insanely important skill that you should be developing over time in order to become the greatest version of yourself. Because being able to decide on a goal, to really fully commit to that goal, despite the fact that there's going to be ups and downs and trials and tribulations, if you can commit to that goal and really see it through and use self-discipline to get yourself there, you, my friend, have a damn superpower. Consistency is absolutely everything. And as the old saying goes, the hobbyist does something when he feels like doing it, but the professional does it irregardless of how he feels. But here is the catch.
Gotcha, bitch.
My friend, because there's always a but and there is always a catch, at least in these bloody videos. Always trying to give you the loop-de-loop, you know? The catch is that if you view discipline in the wrong way, and it's so easy to view in the wrong way, believe it or not, if you see discipline as this big, scary, horrible act of self-punishment, you are setting yourself up to fail, and to fail miserably. Because I know a lot of you out there watching this video, all you self-improvement little addicts, right? And I was there too, right? I know you watch guys like David Goggins, like the top G himself, Andrew Tate. And after watching hours and hours of discipline is everything content and fuck my feelings, I'm just gonna get out there and suffer and push through it because success is everything, right? I'm just gonna grind it out no matter how much suffering and pain I go through because I want the glory and the money and the woman and the status and all this glorious, triumphant stuff. I can promise you right now, mark my words, but no matter how strong you are, no matter how disciplined you think you might be, there is always a point when discipline, and especially your discipline, will fail you. Because the sad reality is that you and I, and Andrew Tate and David Goggins, we're all human beings. And that means we all have our limits. And once that temptation passes that threshold of your current discipline skill level, you will fail. It's just the way it goes. In other words, you could be locked in a room with a bowl of cookies or marshmallows, and there will come a minute, there will come a second. It could be after hours, it could be after days, years, who knows, but there will come a second when you will give in to that marshmallow, because at some stage, the deliciousness, that temptation, the starvation will become just too much. So now you're probably thinking, thanks, asshole. I was so fired up and so motivated to finally change my life and use discipline and give it my all, right? I was finally going to get shit done because I was inspired, right? So thanks for ruining my dream when it comes to finally using discipline. But hang on, because the good news is that you are not totally doomed to resist the marshmallow. There is hope for you yet. And you definitely shouldn't give up on your journey to developing self-discipline. It's just going to require a little bit of a different approach. And in this video, I'm going to share that approach with you today. If you've been paying attention so far, you may have noticed that there's a specific reason I used the example of marshmallows. And for those of you who have heard about the infamous marshmallow experiment, you will know exactly what I'm about to tell you. Many moons ago, there was a very famous experiment where they took a whole bunch of kids from all different walks of life. They sat them in a room all by themselves. They introduced one single marshmallow on the table in front of this child, and they said to the kid, listen, you can either have this marshmallow right now and enjoy yourself, or if you wait 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, right? We'll double it. We'll give you 2 marshmallows for you to enjoy. And naturally, they found that some kids were able to resist it and keep strong and stay disciplined, right? Use their willpower to avoid the temptation, and they were gifted with a second marshmallow. But then there was the other kids, like me, who would have devoured that marshmallow the second I laid eyes on it. And for the longest time, the researchers of this study believed that the kids that had the discipline to avoid the marshmallows went on to achieve bigger things in life. They went on to have a more fulfilling and fruitful life simply because they had the discipline within themselves to avoid the temptation, or so they thought. Because here's what you probably never heard about that famous study. It turns out that the kids that actually were able to resist that first marshmallow didn't have more self-discipline than any of the other kids. They simply had better coping strategies. These unbelievably smart little bastards apparently used various coping strategies to not use more discipline, but to use less of it. And strategies that they used included singing songs to distract themselves, right? Playing little mind games in their head while they waited for that second marshmallow to arrive. But the other kids, the kids that failed the task, they tried to use discipline. They stared that stupid marshmallow in the face for 10 minutes long. And there's actual, I'll try to find B-roll, but there was video footage of these kids sitting, waiting, and staring at that marshmallow like it was about to be destroyed, right?
Make the next 15 minutes feel like 15 hours for the kids at the Edina Family Center.
But these kids gave up. They eventually succumbed to the temptation because they put all of their focus on the marshmallow, on using their very limited supply of self-discipline, because self-discipline is unfortunately a limited supply. And at the end of the study, the kids that failed the test spoke only about how hard it was to resist that marshmallow and how difficult it was to say no, whilst the kids that passed the test talked about how it wasn't that bad, how singing songs and playing little games and tapping their feet, right, made the experience and the wait rather enjoyable, and how much they really enjoyed getting that second marshmallow. And thereafter, so many other studies have confirmed what we already know, that the most disciplined among us don't have more discipline than us. They just have better coping strategies. They know how to use their discipline as little as possible by designing their environment to benefit them, to reduce temptation, and make it that much easier to achieve everything they want. So here's the rub. You can spend all your time trying to boost that discipline skill. And yes, I'm not saying you shouldn't, but if you are missing this very simple yet very overlooked concept that the less discipline you use means the more discipline you have in the tank, you're honestly just making the game much harder for yourself. You are that kid death staring the marshmallow when you didn't need to death stare it in the first place. So the big golden question becomes, how do we use as little discipline as possible, especially when things are hard to do? Here are the best 6 tips that I could give you that will ensure that you struggle with discipline as little as possible for the rest of your life. Step 1 is to simply make your tasks or your activities as fun as humanly possible. Because the simple fact is that people that enjoy what they do never need to use discipline in the first place, because they simply look forward to doing the activity. And believe it or not, because it took me a while to freaking believe this, but there are actual people out there that enjoy eating healthy. I know, absolute mind-blowing, right? But there's people out there that love to eat fruits and vegetables. There are people that love to go on a 20K run. I still think they're bloody crazy, but you get the point, right? There are people out there that enjoy doing the hard work, but unfortunately you have not yet, and yet is the big word, you have not yet become one of those people. And if you're asking, but Niall, I'm not one of those people. I don't enjoy 20K runs. I don't enjoy reading books for hours and hours and hours. So what the hell do I do? The first strategy is to simply try and swap that activity for a similar activity that gets the job done. As a simple example, if you do not like going to the gym, and I know that there are so many people that don't like going to the gym, whether that's for social anxiety, whether that's for injury sakes, it doesn't matter. You don't have to go to the gym. Why not run? Why not go on a walk? Why not bring the gym to you? Why not get involved in a sport that you used to do at school, a sport that you really enjoy doing? Because suddenly an hour of cardio that you would have honestly dreaded in the past. Nobody wants to sit on a treadmill. Well, again, not nobody, but most people don't want to sit on a treadmill for an entire hour of their day, right? But playing an hour of football, playing an hour of netball, of swimming, pick what you like. And suddenly that hour is absolute bliss. And you've worked out, my friend. You'd honestly be surprised at the amount and the variety of different paths that you could be taking right now to get to the exact same goal that you want to achieve. But you got to be smart about it and get creative. But now you may be thinking, Niall, I've thought about all the various different possibilities or the different activities to swap in or swap out with the boring stuff, and I still can't find anything that I enjoy. And that brings us to step number 2. You need to make sure that each of your habits that you are trying to take, each of the activities that you're trying to use discipline for, are directly aligned to your purpose and your main goals in life. Because if you have to do something that you don't necessarily like, but deep down in the back of your mind that you know that taking that action is directly related to achieving what you most want in this life, you'll find it a lot easier to do that activity. I can promise you that. And if you find that all of the tasks you are doing bring you no joy whatsoever, the truth is it's time to stop questioning those tasks or those activities and actually start questioning the goals and the dreams that you've set for yourself. Because if this really is a dream of yours, if you really want to become this thing that you so fervently believe in, that you've said is your goal, then why are you not enjoying any of the activities associated with that goal? You can't have the dream of being a runner, for example, and absolutely despise going on 10K runs. It just doesn't make sense, right? You can't have the dream of being a science professor if you absolutely hate reading with a passion, if you hate doing research, because it's just not going to work, bro. If that's the case, you really need to ask yourself, is this goal something I really want? Is it something that I really want to achieve in my own life? Or is it maybe time to change direction? And the sad reality is that there are so many people out there that are living goals and living dreams that others set for them, that their parents told them that they should want, that their friends suggested would be a good idea for them. But they never really sat down and decided on the dream that they wanted for themselves. Another problem is that you may not have turned these grand goals or this grand vision into actionable specific steps. Because when a task is ambiguous, when you don't really know what you got to do in order to get to something, and all you see is this huge mountain ahead of you that looks so daunting to climb, naturally your motivation is going to tank because you don't have the faintest idea of how to start. And so I literally Google calendar everything, right? I time block the shit out of my life. So I know that at every hour of the day, this is what I need to be doing to take that one step towards my goal. This is the task I need to be focusing on. And even though it's kind of crazy, right? And I wouldn't recommend it for everyone, it's super helpful to me. And maybe you should try it too. An easy mistake that you could be making that is honestly going to just drain that discipline of yours, it's going to sap the life force out of you, is simply having too many plans. It's having too many goals, too many bullets in the chamber, and suddenly there is so much to do that you don't even know what to begin with. Because the sad truth is that even though you think you are Superman, and you may be a beast, bro, like no doubting you here, bro. That's not what I'm saying, right? All I'm saying is that having an overwhelming amount of stuff to do is naturally going to deplete your motivation, your direction, and your drive to do those things. Because remember, discipline is a very limited supply. If you have 5 life goals that you are simultaneously trying to achieve, all at the damn same time, naturally your discipline is just going to be, it's going to be gone. That water bottle is going to be emptied faster than you can blink. Therefore, for step number 3, you simply need to narrow down your biggest priorities and get clear on specifically what it is that you want. The most successful among us, the business tycoons, the CEOs, right? They seem to have these incredibly busy lives, and they do. But that busyness is very different from what we think it is. Successful people do not have 1,000,001 different agenda items. They don't have all these various and crazy and unique tasks to do on a daily basis. They have a very few and select amount of tasks that they simply do a lot of, right? As many people know, the CEO's job is to make decisions, right? The CEO is not going to go running around the company doing accounting, doing finance, talking to this person, doing this HR job, meeting with this. Like, it's not going to happen most of the time, right? Most of the time, a CEO has one very limited task that he needs to focus 90%, 100% of his efforts on. And that's what makes him the CEO. So as a practical step, you need to sit down with a piece of paper and get honest with yourself. Write out all the things that you are currently giving attention away to in your daily life. Then simply go through that list with ideally a red pen and cross off everything on that list that is not directly related to your goals. Things that are wasting your time, quite frankly. And you might be quite shocked at the fact that you are spending an hour a day on freaking TikTok, right?
No. Well.
And even though it seems silly, that activity is draining your motivation. Netflix for an hour is draining your motivation. Hanging out with the friends or the people you don't give a shit about is draining your motivation and draining your discipline. Once you start getting clear and focusing on what you actually need to be doing, you will suddenly free up all of this amazing reservoir of discipline, and you'll find it so much easier to stick to the tasks and the goals and the habits that you've set for yourself. So once you've listed all of these priorities and once you've gotten very clear on what it is you need to be doing, it still may feel like a mammoth task to achieve even that one goal that you have for yourself. Here's one of the greatest secrets that I could ever share with you on this channel. The hardest part of any activity, of any mountain to climb, is simply the act of getting started. If you can convince yourself to just take the first bloody step, you will be absolutely amazed at how much motivation suddenly floods through your gate. This idea was very famously coined by author Mark Manson as the do something principle, or just do something principle. I like to call it the 5-minute rule, right? Which comes from Mel Robbins. And when I say 5-minute rule, I usually tell my coaching clients to just set aside 5 minutes to start something. Don't tell yourself you're going to be doing the hour-long workout or you're going to be doing the 3-hour business project, right? Don't do that to yourself. Lie to yourself, because lying to yourself is a great advice. Feel free to unsubscribe at any time. But genuinely, lie to yourself and say, you know what, bro, I'm going to do 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. And if I don't want to do this, I ain't going to do it. I'll stop and do something else. But what my clients find so often is that once they've just sat their ass down and started and just taken the first step on achieving that goal, suddenly an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours even, just magically floats by because they realize that just getting started is all it takes to get into a flow state. And if you're willing to be honest, you've seen this happen so many times in your own life and in your own experience. How many times did you need to do a big assignment or do a big work project that you really didn't want to do? You really lacked the discipline to do the damn thing, right? But once you got started, once you just took the first 5 or 10 minutes, suddenly that whole assignment just went phew, and you looked up from your paper or your computer and 2 hours had gone by and you were done. Promise yourself that you will just work for 5 minutes and see what happens. It'll change your life. Tip number 5 is to simply start a morning routine. The greatest people among us have always known that the way you start your day has a dramatic impact on how you will behave for the rest of it. Again, draw back on your own personal experiences. How often did you wake up and feel super motivated and so you hit the gym, you did all the things you were supposed to do that day. You hit the gym, you ate healthy, you drank water, you meditated, you really started your day off on a positive note. How much easier was it for you to keep the momentum of that day going? Chances are you got to the end of the day and you had a pretty sick day, bro. You probably realized, wow, I got a lot done today. I felt good. I felt motivated. I felt ready to take on my dreams. And on the other end of the spectrum, how often did you start your day off on the wrong foot, right? You got up or you didn't get up and you lay in bed for like half an hour. Maybe you had like some sugary drink. Maybe you just watched a bit of TV, binged social media for an hour, and you just felt shit. You felt lethargic and you didn't feel any motivation at all to continue with the day. Chances are that day was pretty shocking and you ended up having a pretty wasteful day, right? Because it all comes down to the way you start something. As simple as that sounds. You got started going back to the just do something principle, right? And once that momentum gets going, once the boulder is being pushed down the hill, it's very hard to stop that boulder from making its way. And as a bonus tip, go even beyond that, right? Don't start with the morning routine. Start with the nighttime routine because getting a good night's sleep has an unbelievably powerful impact on how you feel the next day and how much motivation you get to experience and how much discipline you have. Think about sleep as like filling the tank to your discipline, right? Think about the fact that the more sleep you get, the more you are filling up your tank of discipline for the day ahead. If everything else was just a waste of your time, fall back on step number 6, which is remember to always honor your legacy. Bring respect, bring honor into the equation.
It's a real honor.
As wishy-washy as it sounds, mindset is absolutely everything. One day I woke up and decided that, you know what? If I say I'm going to do something that day, I'm going to damn do it because my honor is on the line. My legacy is on the line. And I want to be able to trust and respect my own word, not only to myself, but to the rest of the world. Doing this has not only kept me accountable to doing the things that I said I was going to do, to keeping the commitments I committed to, but it also allowed me to start finally gaining confidence in myself. Because once you start actually believing yourself, once you start actually claiming things, stating things to the world, and doing those things, you start trusting in yourself. Slowly but surely, you become somebody that you trust and you respect. And if you feel like you need a rest, because let's be honest, we all end up in moments where we feel tired, we feel demotivated, and we just feel like we want to push it off to tomorrow because our bodies are tired, especially when it comes to gym, right? You feel as though you're sore and you really could use a rest right now because you'll be more productive tomorrow, right? But here's the catch, and I learned this from Navy SEAL Jocko Willink, right? He said that if you feel like taking a day off, that's perfectly fine. Take the day off, but don't take it today. Take it tomorrow. Promise yourself that if you just get done with the day and you do the things you said you were going to do, tomorrow, it's guaranteed rest day. And more often than not, you will find that once you get to tomorrow, once you've done the day and you wake up the next morning, you'll wake up and you'll think, actually, you know what? I was just being a little bitch. Like, I just wasn't feeling like it. I didn't have any discipline that day, but screw it. I still did it anyways. And now I actually realized I don't need a rest. But if you genuinely do, then take a rest day. But always promise it for the next day. Never give into the instant gratification of your little feelings in that moment, because those little damn feelings might be lying to you. Work smarter, not harder, my friends, and watch in amazement at how discipline will change your life.